Here we go. Now we're ready to go. Okay. Hello and welcome to Flying High with Flutter. Today I have my very good guest, Alex Minette, if I believe I said that correctly. He is going to be introducing us about his app that he wrote in Flutter and I believe also Elixir in Phoenix. And so originally I saw that he was actually on another podcast, and I thought, wow, not many Flutter people are actually I could find in Elixir. So might as well get him over here and see what he thinks. So yeah, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your background and so forth.
A hot combination of languages, so for sure that's kind of unusual. On my case, I'm a software engineer. I've been working in IT as long as I remember, and I'm a kind of a polyglot. I like to work on languages and technologies. I've worked in UK for during 3 years, and then I've moved abroad to work remotely in Asia, and then back to France now, where I'm now living. I currently work for a company called Penny Lane, which is doing online accounting software. But I also have a lot of very big side projects, including building Flutter, plus some Elixir stuff. Yeah. So I'm mostly a polyglot on my case. I like to work and with different technologies and see everything. Yeah. That's kind of my background.
Yeah. So you say that you think Elixir and Flutter are quite odd to put together, or what?
Yeah. So in my case, I've had actually more experience with Flutter compared to Elixir. I've started this budget app project about 2 years ago, and it's kind of pretty large. There's about maybe 30,000 lines of dot code, so that's kind of a large project now. And in Elixir, I've started kind of more recently, maybe about a year ago, to add a kind of a web part to the project, because I realized that while Flutter is pretty great to build mobile apps, it's not that great of a technology yet to build web apps. The a bit alpha in my opinion, because the rendering model isn't adapting very well. So it makes a good companion language to build the web part, in my opinion.
Yeah, I actually tried using it recently. I was pretty happy with it, but I don't know if you ever tried with using the web to actually run the app or not, or like in debug mode when you're developing. But I found lots of problems.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
live reload just wasn't working, and that kind of kills it for me at least.
Yeah, on my case, there's a lot of issues with my app to make it use as a web directly. First and foremost, it's using SQLite, which is not available on web, and it's not going to be the same rendering model. So I would have to adapt all the routes to hook up directly with an endpoint, which would make me like a refactor kind of half of a code base. Secondly, the next issues, which are pretty big, and then there's a my app isn't working very well for desktop point of view yet. So you can't really use the app on a desktop yet. Like the way everything's handled is assumes a mobile factor, which would again require another more round of refactoring. Which this one I might start with, but
Sorry, for some reason you kind of went out for me over here. So you said the
is
SQLite is
that
actually
is that sorry. I can repeat. Yeah, it's fine.
sure.
Yeah, on my case, the biggest blocker is SQLite, because it's not with IndexedDB or something. And the issue with a browser is that for all the transactions, I would prefer to like just fetch them as they go from some REST API or something like this. And so doing this would make me rewrite the whole app basically, because all the endpoints assume that it's just tapping the data into SQLite everywhere. So that would be kind of a huge amount of work for me. It's not built to do these kind of assumptions.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, it is. I do agree that it does get a little bit difficult when you try to take an app that was written for mobile and try to make it work for bigger size screens, right?
Yeah, that's also.
Yeah. So, like, maybe you could tell us more about the app that you're working on, right? Or did you want to show us a demo or something? Because
I can show. Oh, 1 second. Yeah, I'm going to use this project app in Flutter. We can have emulator here. Yeah. We're going to watch it. Which is almost the app IDE is right now. On the Play Store, which is so libraries between budget app and also having automated sources straight into the data. So this is like local data.
sorry, Alex.
Sorry?
Your microphone became a little bit strange. Has it changed?
Really?
Much better. There we go. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so when I shared my screen, it just changed the microphone for some reason. So
Please.
yeah, I'm gonna start from the beginning. I'm trying to build is a very powerful app. You can add any kind of data source into it. So you can either do manual work, or my next plan is also to have a lot of banking APIs to go into the app accounts. You have a statistics screen where have all the basic dashboards and data. If you click here, for example, you have the amount you spend, the amount you month, and then if you click here, you have for example, your financial statement and the amount of money you spend and earn per month, and all from this data part where here you have all the transactions from each account here. So this is the main building blocks of the app here. You have an account with transactions, and then from that you have statistics. And the main goal on my case is to build an app which is beautiful to use and also as automated as possible. Like the big issue I have with this is that they either full manual or full automated with banking, but they don't allow a mix of both. So this is the thing I want to build here. And secondly, mobile budget app are not the same as social networks. There's a lot less do have the same standards as you have for social networks, or have everything built to be smooth, to be animated properly. And this is also all these effects you can see here, mobile buttons. I've added some kind of effect here. There's some custom tabs, custom drop downs here. So this drop down is completely custom, for example, and then it can move and the text moves as you click it. So Flutter helps a lot for this kind of tasks. You can build custom widgets to do everything you want, and yeah, one of the main parts for me is like the animation and the speed it's running on. Actually, I also have my Android mobile is actually very old. To Flutter, yeah, that's one of the advantages.
Yeah, so it actually runs quite well on older hardware, you're saying.
Not of actually play or like most of my users are in poorer countries because of this. Because when you just check out the app and they see very smooth, they just keep run as smooth as the one with Flutter. This is one of the big advantage of Flutter.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it, but it really does run quite well. It's quite amazing.
So everything you see is rendered with Flutter. They don't use any native widgets, so they can just optimize the rendering. And secondly, the Dart language was just built for this purpose in a way. It's just built for like a native compilation and rendering. Yeah, that was just built for this purpose. So that makes a very good
Yeah, I don't know. I thought Dart was originally supposed to be able to replace JavaScript at some point, from my understanding of kind of the history of Dart. That's what I was.
Yeah. Yeah, it was supposed to replace JavaScript, but the language changed a lot in the meantime, and nowadays I would say it's half inspired by JavaScript, half inspired by kind of Java paradigms, and what they retain from the Dart area is the only technology where basically the instant reload works as advertised. You can just code your thing, just hit R, and then everything just reloads instantly. There's never any issue with it. The compilation is also helping a lot for this project here. The static typing in Dart is amazing, and that
Okay. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. So I wanted to go back to, you do have some custom drop downs you did, right? Why did you decide to build a custom drop down? Why not use the default ones? Is it that you had an idea that you wanted a very certain way that they acted, or what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. I wanted the dropdown to act a certain way, because with basic dropdown you cannot really style the these basic components built in. They're pretty good. I use them in a few places as well. If you see here, but this part is like, this is a native dropdown here. This is what it looks like. But it's not something you want to use for example, like a full-scale drop-down with some styling onto it. And that's where Flutter is so you can render anything you would like to render. So I've made this drop-down to part of the current month, and also I wanted some animation when you click onto it. So what happens? Increase the text here with an animator, and so this definitely see what's been selected on the top here. This is very helpful because it doesn't confuse users. When you click it, when you tap, sorry, on mobile, they see instantly what's happening. The eye is attracted to the right part straight away. Same for the bottom bar. Actually, what you see looks normal. It just looks a bit fancy, but it looks normal. But in reality, what you see, this bottom bar is entirely custom. There's no way to make a bar. Everything you see here is custom. So there's a few layers of the bottom bar. Yeah. So you have the bottom bar itself, and you have the colors, then you have the icon manually.
Okay, yeah, that's actually pretty cool. So what I see, because not everybody can actually see the video, so when we release this on podcast, so you have a drop down at the top, which you click on it, and once you select it, I think I saw very quickly like it kind of pops out. It's really interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
So how did you create that actually? Is that using some kind of animation widget, or what is that?
Yeah, it's some custom. Maybe I can hook up the code. I can find the code 1 second. But yeah, it's some kind of animation widget. Yeah, that you can animate, grow and reduce the code as you want. Reduce the text as you want. Yeah, so I think this is this part of the code.
Oh, you actually make
it should be this part, yeah.
Custom animation yourself.
Yeah. So what happens is like it grows and then shrinks again, and then this animation is executed on the text itself. Yeah, on the text here.
Let's see. Animation. Okay. Okay. You do use a transform scale. Okay, that's interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
And the bottom bar is actually a completely custom code. Yeah, you say there's a lot of code actually because it's kind of complicated to make this one, this gradient bar. But what you see here is all the custom code needed for making the icons, the bar itself. Because what I haven't shown yet actually is that here the text here of the currency is actually depending on your current currency. So if I change from euros to dollars, it changes here the text here to adapt to the local and all these are from some so there's also it's also handling the rates, the currency rates, and things like this. Yeah. But here you can see it changes all the time, and so that's also why I had to do this custom bottom bar because it really. There's a lot of custom elements here. First, there's the gradient where you can't do bottom bar. There's just no way. The animation when you tap onto it, it's a bit. It's not really as smooth in the emulator, but on the phone there's a bit of a delay here when you click on the animation. But in reality, you don't have it. It's because of the debug mode. Yeah.
Position. Oh, you use a stack then with the position.
Yeah, I use a stack. Yeah.
I see.
Where is it? We'll stack. Yeah. Yeah. So you have a mask, and then you have the normal bottom bar on just below it. Yeah. So you have a bottom bar. Then on top of that, you have a gradient mask, and then you have the icon. Is how it works, and then the dots as well, because the dot here is also something custom. when you click, the dots just move slowly to the next one. You don't really see it very well in the emulator because again it's debug mode. But if you click on one tab and then the other tab, the dot is going to move to the other one. And so this is done again manually. With an animated position, yeah.
Okay, I see. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it looks kind of normal when you look at the app, but there's a lot of custom code into this to make it as per the designer.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I'm surprised. I mean, you really said you did like so many custom widgets, right?
Yeah, it doesn't look like this when you look at the app here.
No, it doesn't look
But
so custom. Obviously, the bottom is quite interesting, but I've seen a lot of apps where the bottom navigation bar is similar, where it's like there's like a dip in it and then like a raised button in the middle, the floating button or whatever.
yeah. So this is built into Flutter. Yeah, you have a notch here, but the gradient itself, the gradient you have. So the middle, I also had to customize a little bit the middle button, I think. Yeah, I just customized and nothing else. Yeah, I customized the box shadow and when you click here, it changes the plus into a cross. I've modified as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because this way, when you tap to get a new transaction, just tap again and then they're back onto the screen that way.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Is that working? Sorry, Alan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Weird. Yeah. No, I can see you just fine and everything. For some reason, I think the video stopped on your side.
Can you hear me?
I can still hear you. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hey, are you back? Or is that working? Is that working?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Nice. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So there's also some custom code in the middle button here to make it look like a cross when you click on it. So you can close straight away if you don't want to go back. If you don't want to go to the creating a new transaction. But yeah, a lot of custom widgets actually in this app that is really necessarily expected.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it should be so customized.
Yeah. It looks because actually the default
Oh, that's really nice looking. Alex, are you still here? I think we lost you.
Yeah, I've just restarted the call. Is it working now?
Yeah, I don't know why, but it seems like we have not so great audio and video today. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe one of us has a bad connection.
Yeah, probably me.
I was going to say you, but now you said it. But I was also told my audio
No,
is
that's
not
fine.
very good.
I've done as much as I can. I can switch on to the another Wi-Fi if you want to see if it's working better.
I'm just checking to see what's going on. Just checking because some people are just saying to me, "Hey, the sky is not coming in so clear." Anyways, I'm enjoying the app from what I can see so far. It's really beautiful. Like for the dark mode, like how does that work?
I'm using the theme, the Flutter theme. So I have some definition of a clear one or of a bright one, and then some definition of a dark one, and then I'm switching the theme with some shared preference. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm storing that.
Go
Sorry.
ahead. No, I just said yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm storing it into the shared preference, but because I assume it's kind of a local kind of setting, so I'm actually not storing it remotely. I'm just storing it locally.
Okay, so you share like a shared preference or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then I just switch the theme with this, but not everything. I had to do some custom code for that as well because maybe it's me who's not as good with Flutter theming, but not everything fits into the Flutter styling in the app. So I had to do some custom variables. I can show this as well. I really hope it's gonna go well with the internet. Up.
So far, everything is smooth. Even your microphone is stable, so that's good.
I really hope it's gonna be fine. So here is the colors. Yeah. So as you can see, not everything fits into the way Flutter handles the theme. Because, for example, for the bottom bar, I have some gradients, so this is not gonna fit into the Flutter theme. And I also have some kind of the custom drop downs. They're not necessarily gonna fit into the Flutter theme. So I also have a bit of like custom methods here, which I also use in a few places to redefine the colors here. So for example, I also make the bottom bar slightly darker, even if you're not seeing it much on the screen, but it's slightly darker than on the bright mode. And there's a few places it's done like this here.
Are you already handling fuchsia and everything else in your app? It looks like I saw you have a bunch of things.
I do. It's not published. It's not official. It's not released officially. But I also use my app on desktop, on my own desktop. Yeah. And maybe we can see.
Yeah, we had a guy on the show a couple of weeks ago, Alexandre, who's from. Oh man, I forgot how you say the name of where he's from, but he speaks Portuguese. In any case, he told me, and what I've been doing recently is that when I do develop my Flutter apps, I actually run it locally from my Mac. So I run the app on my Mac, and I develop everything on the Mac, and then just kind of size the screen properly, and then I publish to the mobile apps, and it works much faster. Because like I said before, is when I was trying to develop using just the web browser itself, it seems like the hot reloading just stopped working for some weird reason. I have no idea why.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's what I've been doing for quite a while. it's especially as well because of RAM usage. I've been a bit lazy because running the app natively just is a zero cost basically. It's just zero. And so I've been using the native part just to develop it, and then just like run it once or twice into the emulator to see everything's good. Yeah. So I don't know. I've made some changes, so I don't know if it's gonna already start.
I can see it. Okay.
No. 1 second. Oh, just need to remove this. Yeah, it's a part of a live show. But yeah, I've been using this mode to develop myself, and it's very very good to especially when because of the Android emulator is using so much RAM. So that's kind of a good use for it. But I haven't published everything yet onto desktop, even if the app technically works, because there's some edges that needs to be smoothed a bit. The text selection, like some clicking in some places, like also the top, like when you have generally some handle on the top of each window with file or something, file editor, things like this, and this is not on currently on the app, so that just looks a bit awkward to use for a desktop user. That looks like some kind of mobile app just resized for desktop, which is not very ideal. Yeah. So this is what generally I use for developing it. So this is exactly the same app. The red bars are just tools for me to put the margins properly. It's some homemade component.
So what's the point though? How does that actually work? So for people who so you got like these red vertical lines on the sides for lining.
It's the red bars are made by myself. Yeah, they're kind of a tool to help me when I develop to make sure that the margins are okay on the app. Yeah.
Oh.
So everything you see on the left side and the right side just fits into the margin to make sure that everything is aligned properly.
Is that like the no-touch zone? Because I always heard that near the edges of your app, you should never really have places where people can.
Yeah, it's kind of it's because of this. Yeah, because first you have some curved phones as well, which have trouble with the edges, or you just can't do anything on the edges. And secondly, it looks better. So this is some custom homemade stuff again. That just shows manually some margins into the app. This is very helpful for developing. So you see, it just shows if it's desktop or debug. That's basically how it works. And you just put some red margin on each side. Yeah. So that this way you can see what you're doing.
That's pretty cool. Smart.
But you can see also there's also another reason why I don't publish it yet. It's like the font sizing looks a bit different compared to mobile. There's a few things which are not exactly as good as it could be. But yeah, it basically works here. One thing we can also talk about on the Flutter app is I've done a lot of work on testing it. This doesn't really necessarily show up when you look at the app. Testing is very critical for a budget app, and because you want all the amounts to be okay, you want the sums to be okay. You don't want this to change every time you load up the app. You want all the transactions to be stored properly. You want some guarantees basically when you're building budget apps. And on my case, I'm coming from a Rails background as well, which you have a lot of testing, and also this culture is also present in Elixir as well. So I like testing. I like having a lot of tests, and there's testing for basically every part of the app. The testing is almost as big. The testing code is almost as big as the app code. So yeah, everything is tested. Every time I find a bug, I just add it to the test here. So you can see here, for example, I just check the total expense, like is computed properly. I check the total income, I check the reference, I check everything.
So let me ask you this question because I'm still kind of new to testing in Flutter. I
Yeah,
followed this guide from RezoCoder. I don't know if you've ever seen him before. It's another guy who makes a guy who makes quite a lot of YouTube videos specifically for Flutter. And he did a couple TDD ones, and I followed his, and I quite like the way he does it. Um, but like, I guess the question more so is kind of like, how do you test? It seems like all I see right now is you're testing quite a lot of business logic, which of course I think is important to test. But do you also do any kind of widget testing or anything for the visual stuff?
yeah. So you have both. You have both unit testing and like widget testing. So this side is more the DB, so it's more like unit testing. But you have also like some, for example, like like if I get one of the capture, I'm using the golden's capture here. Let me find one. Yeah, for example, this is one of a page, one of a test page. So I'm just testing that the page looks exactly the same without the styling here. Because also I want to be able to change the style, how the page looks like with default auto styling. And let's see. Oh, all the Gordons. Edit. Adjust. So this is the default font as well. This is the default font used by Flutter in the Goldens. So this is to avoid that sometimes you might have a few pixels of difference between the way the operating system renders the font. So this is to prevent this kind of issues.
So how does this test actually work? So it looks like you're using, I've never seen this before in Flutter, but it kind of reminds me of like React where you can render a component and then basically check to see if the rendering is exactly the same, right? Is this a similar?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're using a
I'm
PNG,
getting to the
so
code,
PNG
yeah.
gets generated, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So, for example, this is one of the tests of adjustment. So basically, I do all my business logic here, and then where is it? Oh no, I'm on the wrong one. 1 second. Yeah, no, this is the wrong one. Up. Yeah, this is a good one. So for boot up my widget with all the details I want to test here. And this is then after you just check the screen, if the screen matches golden with this is the file name, yeah. And then Flutter does the checks if the file looks the same, yeah. And you have an option on the command line to erase the file and create a new one if it's necessary. So this is the one we just seen before, yeah. So this is what is being produced by Flutter, and this is where you check in the code that it looks the same. In order to do this, you need also an architecture which allows you to build screens per widgets, so that you need to avoid some dependent states as well. So the best is like if you can boot up a widget, test it, and see if it works. And so no need to set up too much on your app yet. So this is, for example, on this financial statement page, the page we've just seen before. It accepts the financial statement object, which is in real life what's happening in the app. Yeah. The database just spits me out this object and then I render it. And what happens is that in the test you can just put all of this, like get a JSON equivalent of what you want, and then do a screenshot, and use this as a data mockup.
Okay,
Don't know if
that's
that's
pretty cool.
clear.
I've
That's
actually
clear
never
enough. If
seen this before within Flutter. So it looks like I think you're using Golden Toolkit. Is that right to do the testing?
yeah, exactly. I'm using the gold. Yeah, golden toolkit here.
Okay. Why did you decide to use this one rather than just the default testing within Flutter?
Because this one enables me to do font rendering. The default one in Flutter doesn't support this. Oh, at least it didn't when I've used this one. Maybe it does now. I have no idea actually, but I've used this one at the time because
So
of this.
it looks like you're actually using the translations, right? So you do support multiple languages.
Yeah, exactly. So the languages are in JSON files. So this is, for example, the French, the German, the Spanish, and all of this has been translated with tools. So I just have another tool which transforms this into Excel, or I have basically a tool like which transforms this into Excel and from Excel back to JSON.
So you actually pay translators
to give it to
or
translators.
you've got some friends. Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If it's some kind of Latin language, I can myself like check if it looks good or not. Otherwise, there's just no way. I have no idea if Russian here
How many
looks good
languages
enough
actually
or
support
I
this?
needed
Like,
translators.
how do you
One,
choose which
two,
languages
three,
you want to
four,
support?
five,
Is that people
six,
just kind of
seven
complain to you
for
and say, "I want this in my own language"? That's how it works. Okay.
Pretty much it, yeah. That's pretty much it. They just see the app and give me a 1-star review, like saying the app isn't in my language.
Is there any more languages
That's
in
what
the
happens.
pipeline? Because it seems like you say you get quite a bit of users right now, right?
Yeah, I'd like to bring Chinese here, maybe, and also I think Italian as well, which some users asked for. And hopefully, I would like to cover most of Europe with maximum amount of languages I can. But it's pretty difficult. And the next issue is that as soon as you start to add one more language, it's one more language to maintain, and then you need to add translations every time you add a new screen, which is a kind of
Have people ever complained and
tedious.
given you bad stars for, although you have the language, but maybe the wrong translation? Because I get that quite a lot, especially with. Okay.
No, it seems people are pretty okay, even with. Actually, I have no idea if translation looks are good enough. But I think they are. But nobody has given me a 1-star rating for this is not translated right or something like this. Generally, it's more if a language is not available, but otherwise they just kind of happy with
What I can
it. I
say
think.
is that I do work with a guy who is
Um,
French, and I know that when we get translations in
yeah.
from another part of the company, he always looks at it and says, "What the heck is this? This doesn't even make sense." The translation is always so bad that he just like gets out of his mouth about it.
Yeah, on my case, I'm French and I can speak English, so I do this file. I manage this file and this file myself, like the French and English one.
Okay.
But yeah, the other ones, I really hope everything's okay because of the Latin roots. I can also kind of.
Hmm.
It's not 100% guaranteed, but yeah, the rest I need to have translators for sure.
But now the
Yeah,
question is,
I think.
what kind of French do you support, right? Because there's more than one French language. And the reason I bring this up again, the same guy, when we do the translations, we try to use like French. I think most of the French, like in Europe, it's about the same. Like you got Belgian French, you got, I think Germany also has some French too, and of course France has got French. But then there's always the outlier, which I always hear Quebec French is just Totally different.
It's sort of different.
Very.
I use the one from France because I have no idea how they say it in there in Quebec. I hope they understand as well, but I think they do. Um,
So it's funny
the
because I see you
one,
just have FR. You don't have like FR. You don't have like the country prefix, right? So I guess this kind of
yeah,
makes
yeah,
it
I've decided to use the same one. And also, I have something in the config. This is also some custom. I have a lot. We can take a look at the config as well, I think.
sure.
Um, One thing I haven't covered in the show yet is that I generate the screenshots on the Play Store automatically. Yeah. Look, if you see this, yeah, yeah, if you see this, yeah, this is generated automatically. So all of this here, like the screenshot, the Android emulator puts up a mocked version of the app with some database, and then takes a screenshot, which is then fed into some HTML tool, HTML script, yeah, which just puts the screenshot and puts also the text of the right part here, and then outputs the screenshot into a directory, which is then picked up by a third tool, which uploads it to a Play Store.
That's pretty
So
cool.
all of that, the whole process of the screenshots done automatically.
That's really cool. I quite like this. So
If we go back here,
uh-huh.
yeah, here you see all the titles here, for example,
Yeah.
of the store screenshots, and all the descriptions here. So everything you see on the screen, if I can put the screen here, good enough. Oh. Yeah, everything you see here is actually like from the store screenshots script. Yeah.
So how does
So
this
there's
actually
three
work?
layers of script there.
Yeah, how does this thing work? I would love to know. I mean, or is it a secret? Or how did you find out how to even do this, first of all?
Oh. So this is the HTML page here. You have an HTML page which is basically the right screenshot I want here, and here if I want it, which you have, and then here you have a random screenshot to see how it works here. And like, let me open this.
Let's see.
Oh. Yeah, one, yeah.
Let's see.
And on the divs containing the title, you have some IDs here, ID title and ID description, and the script. This time JavaScript one just replace the right selector with the right image and the right title and the right description.
Well, how did you get the phone image in the background? Is that just some image you found online and somehow made it work, or what?
No, it's also generated. You have another tool which where is it? I use Flutter screenshots. Yeah, the screenshots command. Screenshot, is it? Yeah, it's a Flutter tool. Yeah, which just pulls up an emulator. Oh. Yeah, it's use a YAML file. Yeah, here. And it just records into the folder all the right locals, and so then you have a driver. Where is it? Is it this one? No. This is not this. Let me find the right file. There's a file here driving all of this in test, I think. Yeah, this is exactly this is this one. So the screenshots to run this test, and what happens is that it's just opening an emulator and fetching some SQL file. Where is it? Oh. Yeah, and Sedomic, it also has to do some config, some special config, yeah, for everything to work. And what happens is open up the emulator, downloads the SQL file, the right SQLite file, and then just switch up the language one by one. Yeah, that's exactly how it works. Yeah. And then it outputs all the screenshots into one folder, which is then picked up to generate the Play Store screenshots. So what happens is that it just goes to the account screen, taps on one account, do a screenshot, go back to the account, do the click on the bottom bar to go to the home page, click on the to get a screenshot of the statistics. So basically, you get all the screenshots one by one. It's all put into a folder just as a raw screenshot, so they just look like the other one we've seen before. Yeah, they're gonna look similar to this here.
Okay.
And then transforming it in HTML page, which is looking like this. And he's just zoom of the right part here. He's just zooming over the right part of the image.
But how do you do the phone on
So
the
this is a
outside?
HTML page here.
So the phone is just the HTML or what?
This part?
No, the
No, the phone is just a
phone,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. It's also a phone there. There's a frame.png here.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just a PNG frame which I just add on top of it. If you remove it, you can see, oh, there's no frame anymore.
Oh. So how did you get a frame though? Did you create that yourself, or you found that online, or what?
Yeah, I found it online.
Okay.
I think I found it online, on some open source frame one, and I'm not sure it's exactly the same as a proper phone frame, but it does the job.
Yeah, I've seen this quite a lot, but I'm always curious about how the heck people do it. That's why I kept asking. I was so curious because obviously it makes it look much nicer than if you just show a square image, right?
And here is how it works for the uploading to the Play Store. So I just get the Google API, and I just send everything, all the screenshots, all the descriptions, all the title, all the icons, everything basically to the Play Store, because each language also have their own description, their own title. This is also in the translated file. I try to keep all the language related stuff there. Yeah, here. So for example, this is the store description. So it's pretty long, but that's what you see on the Play Store. And there, everything is getting uploaded and set up. So I have to. How the Google API works is kind of similar to Git. It's like a snapshot. So you do everything you want, and then after you commit. So I just delete everything, recreate everything, and then just push the change. That's how it works here.
Okay.
Yeah, so I create the listing if they're not there. I set the description. I delete all the image. Then I upload icons, screenshots, and feature graphic, which is a big one on the top. And then I do a commit to make everything live.
Okay, this is pretty cool. Did you just custom make all this yourself?
Yeah, yeah. There's some custom tools here for the app here. And also, yeah, you have the like some tool to convert from Excel to the JSON file, and from JSON file to Excel. Yeah. So this is really helpful as well to give to my to people translating the app, because generally they typically prefer some Excel tool or some kind of something like this. They're not comfortable.
Is this in Crystal? Is that what the CR means?
Yeah, it's in Crystal.
So why you decide to use?
script.
Oh, okay. So why do you decide to use Crystal though, out of maybe just writing straight Ruby or even Python?
Because I like it. It's a language I like, and I don't think it's suitable that much for big tasks. In the past, I had some backend in Elixir, but it's kind of useful for small scripts, I think. So yeah, there's a great amount of tools that you don't see behind the scenes actually.
Yeah, I can see that. You have any plans to open source some of this stuff?
I'm hesitating. Like the thing is, I don't have any time to manage a community or anything open source, so I'm always hesitating to open source all this because I don't have time to manage a community in the first, and secondly, the tool is also the whole code base is also adapted to my own personal tastes and needs, and so there's no kind of documentation or anything enough for outsiders, I think, to pick it up, which I would need to create if I open source it. But I'm considering it. I still hesitating. I'm not 100% sure. I'd like to open source some parts for sure already, like the tools and things like this, but I'm not 100% sure I will open source everything of this year. Right now, the thing I'm building the most is I'm quite big on. I've done a lot of upgrades to support the null safety, the new .null safety feature, and which is a pretty roadblocker for a project that big, as you can imagine. There's a lot of migration to do to support this new feature. So right now, like 90% of packages are using null safety. I depend on, and I've migrated a few packages myself, sent some pull requests to people who not taking care of the projects, and hopefully soon I can migrate the whole project to null safety as well. Otherwise, some interesting stuff we haven't talked about yet, and which is kind of a downside to Flutter for me, is the kind of way the native navbar is handled. So I also have some native code here, but you don't see. There's also some native Kotlin code here to handle because how to explain here. What you see here on the bottom here is also custom. Normally on a Flutter app, when you build a bottom bar, here is just a black bar you see on the navigation bottom. Because you have two kinds of Android phones. You have Android phones with a navigation bar, and you have Android phone button like the old Samsung. You see, like these ones, they don't have this kind of new fancy virtual navigation. But the ones who do, you have you would like to have something else on the black bar, because by default everything here is black. So what I wanted is to have the bottom bar extend here, which is not something you can do with Flutter. It's also something which is done manually, because the bottom bar in Flutter is unicolor. It's either white or black or something like this here. And so you can set the bottom color here to be the same color as your bottom bar, making the impression that everything works. But if you're using, like me, some gradient, it doesn't work anymore. You cannot do something like this. You have to extend the screen up until the bottom here. I've created a sorry for not having the coloration here out of Kotlin, but I don't use it that much. I'm using some Android code yet to get the real height and the real width of this bar here and this bar here on the bottom here. And this way, I'm using it to calculate the screen, and I'm using a full screen mode of Flutter to handle this small bottom part here.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, it's something I've not talked about much yet. So here in the Flutter code, no, this is Go. In the Flutter code, what happens is that I get the native size of this bar, and then I use it to do some padding on the view here, and also on the bottom bar. Where is it? Yeah, it's somewhere in the padding somewhere. Let me find it. But yeah, basically I extend the bottom bar to have the same size as what's on the native navigation. Yeah, exactly. It's this one, I think.
I see.
More size. Yeah. So I use the context for this, and I add the padding into a context here. So this way, you can have the nice gradient. Actually, it's a lot of work just for this, but but to have a nice gradient here, you need to have a full screen mode in Android to manage the. You cannot just rely on the standard Flutter screen mode.
Oh. Seems you're really obsessed about this. Not a bad thing. It's really quite amazing how deep you go.
No, actually, now you can understand why.
Yeah.
Bar anywhere else, because that's just a pain. And that's a bit. To make this kind of a gradient bar happen behind the scenes.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. So it seems like you have to make this kind of. Do you have to do any like hacks for iOS or anything, or you're not even working on iOS? I'm guessing.
No, I'm working on iOS, and in iOS it's kind of the same issue really.
Really?
But I have a chance of using some iOS phone with a physical button, so this doesn't matter much for this one. So this is the app on iOS as well. It's not on the store yet, but it technically works same as the one on Android. I had a few things to adapt to iOS. Strangely enough, you would think that everything works exactly the same, but it doesn't. Even with Flutter, it doesn't. So the SQLite, for example, doesn't round the same way as on Android. That sounds kind of crazy, yeah. Not the round, sorry, the substring, yeah. That sounds crazy, I know, but I had to do something like this, some stuff to fix this. Where is it? Yeah. So this is a constant here. I'm using here because what happens on some implementation of SQLite is, I don't know why, don't ask me why, but happens only on iOS for now, is like what happens is when you do this on an Android and this on an iOS, it doesn't return the same thing.
Okay.
What happens is on Android, I think it's inclusive, so it gets the free. And on iOS, he gets only the second one, or only the 2 second one. I think that's something like this. So I have to count this and then use it everywhere I do substring to make sure everything works fine in the queries.
I see. Okay.
So this is one of the main issues I had on iOS. I'm sure it's pretty niche. I'm sure there's some about this, and I'm sure I should write some article about this. It's kind of niche issue. And apart from that, I had a few issues of packages not working natively properly. Some packages were not available, and around. Typically, the package I'm using to do sharing of the sharing of files is not iOS compatible. So on right now on Mavio, what you can do is you can just share. I allow imports from other database. So if you go here and you see import data, you can import from Andromony, for example. This is some features I'm working on. I would like to have like dozens and dozens of apps you can import your data from, but for this one you need to share, save the database and share with the Mavio app. So for this I need some native module to do this, which is not available on iOS. So on iOS I just remove this option straight away. So there's a few things I had to adapt here.
Something I heard of from another guest previously. He told me that they ran into an issue with. I think iOS has the spell checker, right, and it just doesn't really work properly on the text field widget.
Already the text field.
Yeah, I think it's a text field widget. Like if you tap on it, you should be able to have a choice. I think like the window should pop up and give you a choice. If something's spelled wrong, you could choose the proper one.
Yeah.
Have you had the same issue or even looked at trying to fix it or anything?
I think the text on my case, the text here, this is the main text I have, working fine. No, this is actually, I remember now, now as you said it, one of the biggest issues I have on the app here, and something I haven't talked about yet, is there's a custom input field.
Okay.
So this is completely custom. You see this input here is completely custom. And because the reason is, first, I don't want any either comma or dots, a mix of comma or dots into the amount. First reason. Second reason, I'd like to handle the decimals. So I want, for example, you can not put more than 2 digits. And third reason, I want this button here with 3 zeros to be available. So this is for currencies where you have a lot of zeros, where basically 40 euros is worth 1 million or something similar. So where typically users of these currencies, they like to have a lot of zeros. So what they do is they just tap 2 times and they just make them 5 million. So for all of these reasons combined, I needed some custom input. And so everything here, you see the logic of the input is completely homemade. The logic of the input is completely 100% homemade. Everything you see when I do the dot and it adds something here, 0 here, and it focuses here, everything is homemade. I have a lot of testing into this, so I'm gonna. So there's some open source package for this, but they're not good enough yet. They're not good enough. So everything you see here is custom, all custom logic here.
You also extended the double. I saw. I haven't actually seen anybody ever extending classes yet. I know they do it, but I haven't actually seen anything. But I saw you did extension on the.
Oh, input format. You mean on double? Yeah. Yeah, I've extended a few classes to add stuff here. To add a precision, to truncate to precision.
That's pretty cool.
So here, for example, this is the formatter here. So the formatter is done 100% manually. So it like I have a test here that if you have this before and this after, it does this. So every input is controlled. every time you add a zero, it's controlled. Because, for example, here, if you do something like this, and you want to add a zero here, it shouldn't add the one at the end. But if you do another digit here, it adds the other one after. And also, if you are here and you type a digit, it should set up the next one and not add a new one in the middle. And also, it handles the spaces. So here, for example, it just added multiple spaces. But if you put your cursor here and you want to delete the next one. You don't want to delete the space here. So all of this is done 100% manually. So every time it just has a text with a selection, and the next one is something different. It has some behavior, and everything is tested here. So this is all the text selection code here. So all the because also, for example, like the last one, if you have 0 and you have a dot there, you don't want this to be like this. If you do 0.0 and you remove it should work. Hard to explain. Sorry. But there's a lot of text selection issues, and this custom keyboard is a nightmare to maintain.
How long did it take you to build this thing, you think?
This is one of the biggest pain points.
How long did it take you to actually build this?
It took me, the first iteration was about a few days of work, like 3-4 days. But then after that, I had a lot of issues with the way the digits were working. So I've reworked the text formatter. Actually, I should open source this part because it would be very useful to some people for sure. And then it took me about 1 more week, I think, of work. So it also works with international languages as well. So let me go back, and now we're gonna put French. Here we're gonna start a new transaction. Up. And if you go back here, you see now that the dot is instead of comma. To handle it like this. And the spaces are still working.
Pretty cool.
Because on the default Android one, you have either a mix of the default Flutter one. You have a mix of comma and dots, and you don't have a really way, as far as I know, maybe change to specify only the one you want. And there's also no real way to do money formatting scheme like this, where you just add a digit after. So yeah, it doesn't look like it, but this is a kind of a big amount of work.
Yeah, I think so. It looks like it. I'm actually kind of curious though. You seem like a kind of guy who kind of prepares for a lot of things, right? And so I think my question is, after kind of preparing all these different languages, are you prepared for left to right languages?
Sorry, you just cut off. Can you repeat? Are you prepared?
You're supporting all these different languages, right? And you're kind of somebody, you already prepared for Fuchsia, you prepared for desktop and all these things. Are you prepared for left to right languages?
Prepared for which kind of language?
Most languages are left to right, right? So when you write your language, you write your words, you write it left to right. I meant to say is, are you prepared for right to left languages?
Sorry, I didn't hear. I'm gonna reconnect again. Sorry, one thing. Yep. Yeah, sorry.
So what I wanted to say was that you seem like the kind of guy who's always prepared and kind of like you got all these things kind of figured out and you're very focused on this, right? You're already ready for like Mac and Linux and these different platforms you're not quite ready to support yet. So now that you have a bunch of these different languages already ready to go, are you prepared for right to left languages yet?
Kind of. There's also some work around this. Let me get there's some small work around this in the code, but I don't think it's ready yet as well. Let me search. Yeah, I can show the screen again. Oh. Yeah, sorry, I don't know, it just cut off for some time. Yeah, there's some small amount of code to handle the right to left languages, especially related to currencies. So here you see some kind of workaround code, because what happens is, like, if the currency is this is, I think, the what's the name of dinar? Is it dinar? I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. But if it's this, if the thing is, like, if you don't use the right to left option, it's just gonna render it wrong. Yeah? The currency is gonna render it wrong. Just this text would be rendered wrong. Yeah? So this is what I'm doing for the currency, but it's kind of a hack, and I don't support Arabic as a main language. So I don't have these problems yet, but I know it's a big issue, and there's gonna be a lot of code I need.
Yeah, I can totally imagine that. I think we're kind of running out of time, but there's a couple of questions I wanted to quickly ask you that I always ask everybody. The first question is, how do you manage your state?
Yeah, it's a good question. So what is this? Save. So I'm using the state. Where? Let me go back into this. I have some. I've changed a few times actually, because the first way to manage the state with I was using some change notifier and stuff like this, and it wasn't working very well, and it's not really useful, like easy to test in a way. So let me. No, I'm using some. I'm using this kind of way to do it. I'm using a change one, but yeah. On what I've done is I've done a reset. Yeah, a reset, exactly. That's where the part I wanted to do. So I'm using a change notifier, but on the reset ones, I just compute all the dependent ones, all the dependent state, yeah, which helped me to do a lot of cool things in the test here. So if we go back, for example, in the tests. If we build my widget with what I want, with, for example, some DB mock, some account, some stuff which is basically useful for as a global state, and then I can just do my own testing, do my rendering, and use this to make it work here. So yeah, I'm using some change notifier provider And then I'm using provider. It's like this, right? Provider. I have some memory issues now on this. Suddenly. Yeah, exactly. Provider of. Yeah, I'm using this. Either like this, so as inline object straight away, or if I want as a widget, I do consumer of my object here. This is so yeah, I've done some more hacky stuff in the past when I first started the app a long time ago now, and then I transitioned to this kind of very helpful change notifier provider. And this is really helpful for, especially for the testing, because this is a part I had some trouble with. Now it's very easy to just just do a multi-provider, and I put this into the pump widget when you start the widget, and this way this state will be there whenever you render this view. Which is very helpful then to render the right curve here.
Then I think the final question I have for you is for any kind of beginners to Flutter, right? Do you have any advice for them, or maybe something to warn them about?
Yeah, I have a few things to warn them about. First, the management of state is pretty hard. And I would not use having a few places, for example, this this kind of way to do it. Are not the way to do it, because they just make your code like you can value notifier, and you can listen to changes and rebuild your code accordingly. But that's a way to transfer state. That's also a way in the past on how I was managing the currency here. The currency on the bottom here, this one. Mm-hmm. So for example, when you were switching, it was just changing the value notifier, and then I was listening on the bottom bar to change it. But that's not a good way to do it. I strongly advise to use some like a change notifier which are built for this purpose, and value notifier are just like a small building block which shouldn't be used for anything too complex. That's my first my opinion on this. Then secondly, I advise to build strongly on testing is very important, and testing is actually well done in Flutter. It's one of the best framework for testing on the mobile part. It's maybe not as good as because I love testing culture in Ruby, but it's pretty good and it works very well. And the I'd say to use the tooling Flutter provides. So first, the refactoring is excellent. The autocomplete is excellent. The Flutter auto reload is excellent. Like everything like related to tooling is excellent with Flutter. Like it's one of the strongest points of a language, and in the framework. And I really advise to use all the tooling, all the open source tooling which is provided. It's perfect. It's close to perfect.
So how do you actually learn about all the tooling and stuff? Because I think a lot of beginners don't really know how to learn this kind of stuff. How did you actually learn?
By myself, I'd say. I just code base and just try stuff. And yeah, I don't have any really advice on this, but I think I just learn by myself. Yeah.
Okay. Well, is there anything else, like maybe something that you want to plug or something you want to say before we sign off?
Let me look quickly if we handle the most important part. Yeah, I'm not using like a CI stuff yet, because like the tests are not working very well onto. This is one of the main ones. But apart from that, I don't think I have. I don't. I think we covered most of the interesting stuff here. Most of the interesting stuff. I also use some in the testing. This is also kind of interesting. Maybe I also use some cassette for the HTTP request to so similar to what we do in Rails to replay the requests,
Okay. Like a VCR, basically.
which is pretty nice. Sorry.
Yeah, the VCR, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's pretty much it on my case. Yeah, I don't. I think I've covered the most interesting parts of the app. Hopefully,
There's a lot of stuff in here, right? So
it's much more complex than what you expected.
yeah, it's really cool all the stuff you have. I'm surprised that I didn't know. I mean, you managed to automate a lot of things, so and do a lot of things that I never thought about. So I might just have to download your app and just play with it to see how it all looks and works. To see
Yeah, for
if it
sure.
worked for the
Please,
field.
please leave a 5-star review. If you and not leave a 1 star, I'm not happy with something else.
No problem. Well, thank you for your time. I'm think that, with all the work you've done, I would love to have you back to talk more, maybe more in depth about certain pieces because you spent a lot of time on this and, the hour and a half or so we spent together, it's just not enough time to really get into some of the more interesting pieces, of course.
Oh yeah, it doesn't cover like 10% of the work for sure. I would be happy to join on the show again to talk about in details about some parts of the work. Uh, like one thing we haven't talked about, but we could talk next time is that I've also used Hover in the past to
Okay.
try to build a native version before the Flutter native was as good as it is now. So we could also talk about the differences of the Hover version and the Flutter one, Flutter native.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Uh,
Let's just link up after this, so whenever you're ready. Okay.
yeah.
Then I thank you so much for joining, and yeah, looking forward to seeing you again next time.
See you next time.
Okay, so just hang out here for a moment, cutting off all the live feeds.
Yeah.